10th of June 2026. It is the second Wednesday of this month. Happy. Good to have you on the show. This is TV47 Breakfast. My name is Annie Odida. Karibu sana.
My name is Fred Indimuli. We continue the countdown. Only one day to go before the kickoff, the World Cup 2026, which will kick off in America, the USA, tomorrow. Of course, kama hujajua timu ya kusupport, kumbuka DRC wako pale, the only team representing the East African community. Hata kama wajalipa ile pesa ya EAC, at least wameenda World Cup. A lot of talking points there, eh?
Bado ni wetu tu.
Ni wetu tu bado. Bana ba Mungu. All right, also one day to the budget statement reading tomorrow by CS for Treasury John Mbadi. It forms part of our discussion, but the main one, of course, Gachagua. What next? He spoke yesterday. We'll be trying to dissect what he said, what he meant. He insists he will be on the ballot on the 10th of August 2027. What do you think? Plus, a lot of discussion around the schools unrest. Yesterday, the National Security Advisory Committee met, and a lot is coming out of that. One, they insisted no early midterm break. Wanakubaliana na ule PS ambaye sasa alifutwa kutoka kwa Ministry of Education. So they agree that he may have dropped the ball somewhere. If at all you see that, he's been swapped with his counterpart for tourism.
Because of those remarks?
I don't know exactly, but
allegedly.
Kama umetolewa hapo, ukapeleka upande ingine, na maanisha ni kama hukufanya kazi vizuri. PSB talk, now is in charge of tourism. Ule mwenye alikuwa tourism, ameletwa education.
All twa.
Yes. There's another story talking about what the problem is in schools. Apparently hakuna chakula, watoto hawashibi.
Ulikuwa unashiba ukiwa high school?
Mimi?
Lakini huko unasumbua.
Unaona mtoto wa a teenage boy kama anaweza shiba. That's the problem.
Lakini huko unasumbua shule.
Unaona cameraman kama Ian. A cameraman Ian is very thin. Unaona kama
una body shame Ian.
Anakula kukula, ukimwona akikula utashangaa anakula kama fundi, lakini
you una body shame Ian. That one will not tolerate.
So a teenage boy ni ngumu sana kushiba. That's all I'm saying. So I don't know. But anyway, that's part of the problem. Nasikia tu kuna scones hiyo kula mpaka wengine wapati.
These amemshtaki.
We'll be looking at that when we take a look at the newspapers later on. So yes, those are the big talking points, plus Ebola. Na nyuki kumewaka moto.
Bado protest inaendelea.
Every single day.
All right, today kama hump day, umemaliza na updates kubwa za leo?
Sasa tutarudi bado.
President bado ako Norway?
Huyo ako sasa, sijui anaenda Finland sasa.
After from Norway?
Alitoka Belgium akaenda Norway, sasa anaenda Finland. Hatujui ataenda wapi after that though. But we'll be here to tell you.
All right. Kama kawaida, every Wednesday we talk matters of the heart. And this morning we'll be talking about toxic love, right? So we'll be asking you, why do we keep going back to on and off relationship?
Yes.
Umeona haiwaka na bado unarudi tu.
And you know, something I saw in one of the stories we read in the newspapers last week about one of the cases of domestic violence that ended up in the death of about four people. A man, his wife, and 2 children. And once again, it's a case of they kept getting back together, separating, getting back together, separating, getting back together. And every time they separate, it's because ya vita. And they keep going back to each other. Eventually, it ended up in death. So why do people keep going back?
You know, it's interesting, sababu just the other day I was also scrolling through Instagram and nilikuwa naona there's a conversation going on that people with baby daddies and baby mamas prefer to give their kids siblings with the same person, such that even if you are in another relationship, you'd prefer to give your child a sibling with your baby mama so that you can have one baby mama.
Ni complex.
Na unajua nani anapromote mambo jinsi.
So that is part of the reason why they keep going back to toxic relationship. That's quite toxic.
Could be. It's very.
Because what happens when you separate for like 2-3 months? What happens in between? When you get back together, do you have to explain all this?
What hata hiyo ya kuseparate? Now if you're dating another person, how do you tell them that you want to give your child a sibling? Na huyo tu, your baby mama huyo.
Hiyo mambo ni ngumu. Hiyo hapo hata sijui tutaanzia wapi. Mimi natoka generation gani?
That is the conversation we'll be having later on the show starting 8:30 a.m. Toxic love. Why do we keep going back? Hata kama kuna on and off relationships, right? So let's interact on our socials, TV47 Kenya on Facebook and on YouTube.
It's also TV47 Kenya on Instagram. On X, it's TV47 Digital. You can use the hashtag TV47 Breakfast. TV47, rather, the other hashtag is hashtag Story Nietu. You can tag us as well on X. My handle is at Freddy Ndimuli.
My handle is at Annie_Dida, and let's take a look at the state of the weather now. All right. Tuangalie weather. In Makueni, it's a mostly cloudy day today. This morning is 18 degrees. Highs of 30 degrees expected in Makueni today. Kakamega, there will be scattered thunderstorms. It's 19 degrees this morning. Highs of 27 degrees. It's a mostly sunny day in Nairobi. It's 16 degrees this morning. Highs of 26 degrees expected today. That's as far as Makueni, Kakamega, and Nairobi counties are concerned. Turkana, it's a partly sunny day, highs of 36 degrees. This morning is 27 degrees. Elgeyo Marakwet, it's a partly sunny day as well. Lakini, this morning is 9 degrees. Highs of 21 degrees expected there today. Nyeri, 14 degrees this morning, highs of 24 degrees, and it's a partly sunny day in Nyeri. That's the state of the weather.
Umeona hiyo Turkana, 36 degrees. 36 degrees. People complaining about it being a bit chilly in Nairobi though. I don't know what you want. Ngoja July inakuja.
Yes.
July is on its way, just around the corner.
Na El Nino pia.
Na El Nino.
Yeah.
If those two combine, I'm telling you, imagine it being cold and rainy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Takuwa mbaya. Lakini ile imenishangaza ni Elgeyo Marakwet. Is it that cold? This morning is 9 degrees.
Elgeyo Marakwet is actually one of the chilly areas of this country.
Yeah.
You may think that just because it's up north, it's a hot area.
Yeah.
No. But I'm told huko, sijafika Elgeyo Marakwet, but I'm told huko ukiangalia hivi mandhari, it's a very beautiful place.
It's beautiful.
Beautiful.
Mashujaa Day iko huko this year.
Yeah.
So
huko unaenda tu na drone. Yeah.
It's
a very beautiful place, I'm told. Hills and valleys and some very nice scenery.
I've never been to Elgeyo Marakwet. Kama umeenda tuambie.
Watupeleke huko Mashujaa Day tuone.
All right. Let's take a look at the quote of the day.
When you have a dream, you've got to grab it and never let go.
What's your dream?
I may have a lot of dreams.
Ile
But don't let go.
Yeah, kama uko nayo usi let go.
Yeah.
A dream is a dream. Hata iwe ndogo aje, dream is a dream.
My dream is to live in a ranch. Ile yenye you have to drive like a kilometer into the property just to get to where I am. Alafu mimi nakuona tu kwa CCTV, najua huyu sitaki kumuongelesha then
in the middle of nowhere.
I take a horse and ride huko kando.
Yeah. Oh wow. You know, I've seen such photos online. Ile yenye mtu kuna a house built in the middle of some sort of forest or something. Yes. That is what you want?
Oh yes, that's it. I don't like seeing many people, but it's just a dream. It's just a dream.
Yes, never let go. That is what actor director Nick Mavindi
he agrees. That's a life. That's a life. Sio kuishi watu wamejaa huku kila mahali. Sometimes you wake up and you just don't want to see people.
Producer pia amekuja na yake anasema anataka kama hiyo exact, lakini yake anataka
hii ni dream yangu, waachane na dream yangu hawa watu.
Si wanachangia, yani dream ni dream.
We don't share dreams.
Now mine is something like that, but now to stay at home.
Yeah.
Now somebody anaenda kunitafutia while me I'm just at home.
Even right now you can get that. Even in the middle of Nairobi you can still get that.
Sitaki kuamka. Let's come back and take a look at the dailies now.
You know, I think the biggest challenge in this country is being copycat. Watu wakifanya hivi, mtu akianza kuuza watermelon, everyone wants to sell watermelon.
Yeah, who's copying who?
Everyone is copying me. Now everyone wants my dream. So, Chana na mimi. Anyway, let's take a look at the papers. And yes, a lot of focus still on the court case about Rigathi Gachagua's impeachment case that was determined on Monday this week. Now, yesterday we were just trying to break down, okay, what did the judges say? What does this mean? And this word absurdity kept appearing everywhere in all the papers, absurdity. So the Standard has gone to that on the front page. And they say this is a stinging critique. The High Court judgment that upheld Rigathi Gachagua's impeachment while awarding him 50 million shillings for violation of his right to a fair hearing has triggered a legal firestorm, pitting some of Kenya's prominent lawyers against the judiciary. The age-old maxim that justice must not only be done but must also be seen to be done has taken center stage, with legal minds firing on all cylinders, terming it absurd. That's a word. Dangerous, and a constitutional contradiction. They warn it could weaken protections for fundamental rights and embolden future abuses of power. It has also ignited debate over whether constitutional violations can be compensated with cash while the tainted outcome remains intact. Yes. So tunaweza whitewash anything. Even when we violate your rights, tutakulipa tu. Kwani wewe nini tutakupatia? 50. Ama unataka 90.
Yes.
Wewe unakaa 67 million. We'll pay you that.
Yeah.
Even if we violated your rights. That's one thing. Plus, does it mean going forward that you can, in any impeachment case of any deputy president or even the president, yeah, that this is the level of participation by the judiciary that we can expect? That they say, okay, fine, because we do not want to cause a crisis, wacha tu ikae hivi.
Your rights were violated, yes.
Yes, your rights were violated, but you know we don't want to cause a crisis. Rigathi Gachagua gave an anecdote about a wife whose husband, people connived to get the husband to jail.
Yes.
So that she could be with another husband. And so the judge knows all this, but anasema sitakuachilia because if I release you, then this woman will have 2 husbands. So because we do not want to cause a crisis, awe kaa tu huko ndani. Tutakulipa pesa, tutakulipa.
Hiyo na iko sawa. You had 2 husbands, mimi naona iko tu sawa. If you want, you do. Like I've seen a lot of analogies around this. I saw one from Donald Kipkorir. Did you see it?
A
lawyer. He was talking about a village something, Cheptongoi Village Tribunal judgment, and he said, "We agree with you that your neighbor cut your fence and stole your cow. We can see the cow in his compound, but we are afraid we can't return the cow as he has fixed the fence we had cut. But to compensate you, we will give you a goat." Case dismissed.
Imeisha hivyo. And many top lawyers have actually gone on Twitter, on X, to actually condemn some of these pronouncements by the High Court. I don't know how consequential this will be. I don't know if this will be challenged, but at least Rigathi Gachagua said he's going to the Court of Appeal. The Senate too has indicated they're going to file an appeal. Wamesema 50 million atupeani.
Hatuna iko kwa budget yetu.
But Rigathi Gachagua said, I don't even need that money. I don't even want it. Hiyo ndo unanipatia 50 million. Wacha mchezo. Anyway, absurdity. So who's right, who's wrong? Everyone says, this is standard absurdity. That's the main story, the only story on the front page. Protest in Nyuki against the US Ebola facility. That story is on page 2. Global health bodies, meanwhile, unveil plan to fast-track a vaccine for Ebola strain, which should be what we should be focusing on as a global health community. Not just building quarantine facilities, but also working on a vaccine. PSB talk moved as state rules out schools closure. So PSB talk ule mwenye alisema hawatafunga shule. Hata the NSAC agreed with him, but wakasema sasa wewe toka. Hata kama tunakubaliana na wewe atufungi shule, wewe ni kama sasa hautaweza hiyo kazi.
Na unajua ni mgeni hajakaa sana ya ministry. Ilikuwa ya
Belio
Kipsang.
And I don't know why. Many people are questioning, okay, why remove Belio Kipsang from that ministry? This is a guy who understands the Ministry of Education. He has handled these issues over and over and over again. Then you remove him from that. Squeeze yako ministry again?
Is it mining? I don't know. But we'll confirm.
But the feeling is that if Belio Kipsang was there, probably he would have handled this thing better. Previously, they've actually sent people, children home. Mapema tu, wanajua hapa ikiendelea hivi there'll be trouble, and then nyumbani for a week. When you come back, we discuss other things. This time wamesema hiyo haihappen.
Belio Kipsang ako immigration.
Yes. Now what the Standard has done in the inside pages, they're doing a special breakdown on the Finance Bill 2026. So if you still do not understand this, remember the budget statement will be read, and that combines everything about the budget discussion. So they have Treasury on electric vehicles, momentum, kuna tax in Equapo, how IMF pressure shaped Ruto's tax hikes. Those are other stories. So those are the main stories. On the back page, FIFA World Cup, 1 day to go. So World Cup nears kickoff after pre-tournament turbulence. And the very first game, the opening match, will be Mexico versus South Africa. Yes. So timu gani una support. Meanwhile, your story of the Somali referee Omar Artan, who was axed from the World Cup because he could not get a visa to the US. Do you think you can get a visa right now for the World Cup? I think it's too late. That process takes too long.
Yeah.
But imagine the way the US and its current immigration rules, trying to get a visa just to go watch the World Cup, how hectic it can be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very many people, including one of our reporters.
Anaenda.
So I had. Hakupata visa. 20 new players to watch at World Cup 2026. They have that on a spread between page 30 and page 31. You can get that. Learn more about the new players because wengi wameretire. We have a crop of very new players across board in all countries. And that's a standard.
Umesema so you had. So I had.
Yeah, so
that's
I had.
interesting.
Yeah.
Tuangalie Taifa Leo. Sitainua mikono. Gachagua is still on the front page of all the dailies today apart from maybe Business Daily. Aliyekuwa naibu rais Rigathi Gachagua aliungana na baadhi ya Wakenya wakiwemo wanasheria kukosoa uamuzi wa mahakama kuu ambao aliutaja kama unaojikanganya wenyewe na unaodhalilisha haki za msingi za kikatiba. Gachagua alikataa fidia ya shilingi milioni 50 na kuahidi kupigania kile alichokitaja kama haki yake katika mahakama ya rufaa. Gachagua akata fidia ya shilingi milioni 50 akisema hatafuti fedha bali kutetea utawala wa kikatiba na haki msingi. Habari kamili katika ukurasa wa pili. I also saw another interesting meme that whatever is happening to Gachagua it's along the lines of mimi nitakupiga na nikulipe.
Ndakupiga na nikulipe.
Yes. That is what is happening to Gachagua. Ni meme niliona, sio mimi. Vidokezo zaidi, familia kupokea miili Ijumaa. Familia za wanafunzi 16 waliofariki Utumishi Girls Academy kule Gilgil zitakabidhiwa miili yao Ijumaa. That will be on Friday. Fujo na nyuki kuhusu kituo cha Ebola. Tumezungumzia habari hii. Protest zinaendelea kule na nyuki. Wanaovamia wahamiaji South Africa waonywa. Ramaphosa asema serikali itachukua hatua dhidi ya watu wanaoshambulia wahamiaji.
Hawajachukua hatua, imekuwa ni miezi mingapi sasa?
Yeah.
Anakuja kutuambia watachukua hatua. Hata wasitulete. Wangekuwa shachukua hiyo hatua tayari.
Kilio mfumo wa SHA ukiharibika, wagonjwa katika hospitali za umma taabani walipia huduma pesa taslimu. You know, ever since SHA was launched, every day there is something with SHA. There is something not so affordable healthcare with SHA. Because they say that they aim to deliver universal healthcare, affordable healthcare. But ever since SHA was launched, well, we could say it's 70-30.
You know, someone just a few months ago said SHA is going to crumble in the next 6 months.
Yeah.
I don't know if someone is keeping count on when the 6 months lapse. But we're really hoping it won't because, to be honest, not every Kenyan can afford to pay cash, especially when you're unwell. And this is exactly what this system is supposed to do, to ensure that when you're unwell, you can access health care and health services, treatment at hospitals without really needing to worry about how much money you have in your pocket. So when it fails, munatuambia ni nini? Ni nini munatuambia? Kunani SHA ama SHA kunani?
Alisema kunani. Mwalimu Kaka Ukelo alisema unajua atatutandika viboko tukisema shuleni kunani. SHA kunani. Alisema ni kunani SHA.
Ni kunani SHA.
Hisia kali USA ikifungia nje refari wa FIFA. Habari hiyo imezungumziwa katika ukurasa wa 20 wa gazeti hili. Lakini sasa itakuwaje? Or there's another referee who will replace.
Of course, they'll just come up with another referee from elsewhere, probably someone who already has a visa.
Or maybe he'll go later.
No, once they block you from entering that country, that's it. That's it. Even Iran has a problem because they still have to play their games there. But wale wamekubaliwa. Imagine the US is allowing Iranian players because they have no choice. But now Iran said they're going to be landing in the US, play their matches and take off the same day.
Hataki kukaa huko.
Hatuwezi kaa huko.
Taifa Leo.
Gazeti la Daily Nation nazungumzia mambo yale. Gachagua defiant. He addressed the media yesterday. The Daily Nation says the former deputy president has vowed to fight the High Court decision that upheld his impeachment, even as he announced a 45-day political conclave. Unajua conclave kama ile Vatican, wakichagua Pope. 45-day political conclave starting next week to come up with a single opposition candidate to face President William Ruto in the 2027 polls. You know, some of these things are very significant. You can imagine someone saying, now I'm retreating back to this. Now he's retreating back to Wamunyoro. Yeah. Now you will see a lot of Wamunyoro going forward. For the next 45 days, everything will be around. They even have that signage of I love Wamunyoro. Now you'll see a lot more of that because now he's been to the UK, he's been elsewhere, he was on the campaign trail. Does this mean that he will not be actively involved in the campaigns for the All-Kalau by-election, which come up on 16th of July next month? Well, wait to see. So, also inside this paper, what ruling means for Rigiji and his allies in opposition. Yes, because many people had said, okay, fine, probably if he loses this case, it will be easier for the United Alternative Government to pick a candidate. Yeah? But is it? He insists he still will be in the ballots come 2027, because he says he still hasn't exhausted his legal channels. But he also says, and he was very careful, he says that this will also be in connection with whatever agreement the United Opposition or United Alternative Government will come up with in as far as picking up a candidate. DCP party leader amesema your 50 million shillings, he has rejected the 50 million shilling award, terming it an insult. Yeah.
Atupe. Achukue atupe.
Achukue aturushie tu hapo atuambie chukueni. Mimi siwezi mind ka 50 mic. All right. Pale juu, more pain for patients at SHA system outage enters day 4. Day 4. System SHA haiko. The Social Health Authority platform went down on Sunday. And with it, the promise that no Kenyan would be denied care because of inability to pay. That story is on page 8. And remember the promise that no Kenyan, hakuna Mkenya hata mmoja atakosa matibabu sababu hana pesa. That was a promise. 4 days, tayari tunalipa cash. Maswala ya Ebola yamepewa kipaumbele hapa. Kenya queries over fresh queries over Kenya's Ebola tests. The Minister of Health could be declaring individuals tested for Ebola negative and releasing them back into the population before the lapse of the mandatory 21-day incubation period, which is a risk. Because they say, you remember COVID, when COVID struck Kenya, there was a certain period that once you come in, you had to stay in quarantine for. Because kuna ile wakati inaitwa incubation period. You could come and test negative, but after a few days you test positive. So now they're just testing Ebola, they're testing for Ebola and releasing people to come into the country. Yet there's an incubation period of 21 days. So how certain are you that that person who tested negative will still be negative after 21 days, or even after 14 days, or even after 2 days? Yeah, the incubation period is between 2 and 21 days. Where?
Mbaya.
Hiyo ni mbaya. Alafu sasa, the other story I was telling you, congestion, hunger, peer pressure, the troubles in our public schools. Hunger, of all things, hunger. So what are they saying when we see big schools like national schools like Alliance Boys and Mangu High School go on strike? Unataka kusema hata pale kuna njaa? Some of these schools actually have their own bakeries.
Yes. Hata sisi tulikuwa na bakery.
Wanapika mikate huko ndani. Mutaenda njaa aje? How will you go hungry? Kuenda njaa is a direct translation from English. Mutalala njaa aje? So
ama waeke bakery, just something to help these kids. But
if at all, hunger is one of the part of the problem, and you remember these are teenagers, even girls, especially teenage girls, they eat a lot. That's what I realized. Wasichana wadogo wanakula kweli kweli. So hunger could be a problem. That story is on page 10.
Nilisikia mtu akisema, somebody quite prominent, alikuwa anasema canteens zikuwe abolished. Ati watoto wanatoa kiberiti hapo. You know, canteens zinasaidia watoto to survive in high school.
Yes, because wanakula chapso.
Ati?
Chapso.
What's that?
Chapso, you know, when you combine a chapati with a sausage.
Hiyo kitu inaitwa smocha.
Acha, hiyo ni chapati na smoky. Sasa hii ni chapati na sausage. Ndio chapso. It's a higher level kutoka kwa smocha sa chapso. Kama shule yenu ilikuwa tu na chapso pekee.
Sisi sasa ni watu wako na canteen.
Now when you go high level, inaitwa chapso.
Wow.
Yeah. You see, every day you learn.
Every day is a learning day, kweli.
Back page of the Daily Nation today, they're talking about local football league where Gor Mahia will need bigger war chest to conquer the continent. The club will need quality players, and they're talking about the CAF Champions League for this season, now that they're champions of the local league. World champion Wanyonyi to renew rivalry with Canada's A ROP in Oslo tonight, something to look forward to. There are very little coverage on the World Cup. It's only on page 31 about the referee, and more oldies than ever at World Cup, because Cristiano Ronaldo is among a record 8 players aged 40 or older who have been selected to play at this year's tournament. Na mnasema ati watu wenye kwa above 40 ni wazee. Kama Ronaldo anacheza kwa World Cup, this ageism needs to stop. Anyway, that's a Daily Nation.
All right. Tuangalie People Daily sasa. Utaki miaka yako?
Wewe, siko nazungumzia mimi. Nimesema just stop calling people old.
Pole basi. All right, Gachagua is still mentioned hapa katika ukurasa wa mbele wa People Daily. On the top strip, they talk about how the High Court controversially sealed Gachagua's fate. They captured this on page 7 of this newspaper. But the main story is about the president. From pulpit to the mosque, they ask that president was seen as a church candidate, satirically nicknamed Deputy Jesus by opponents in 2022. But after an increasingly cold reception from the pews, his frequent high-profile embrace of Muslim community has some people asking questions. This is a story on page 4.
Yeah, I have a question. Kwani, in mosques, we don't have pulpits. Is a pulpit just for a church? There must be somewhere where the sheikh sits or stands where he's delivering the sermon.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know when they say from pulpit to mosques.
To mosque.
From churches to mosques, probably. But anyway, I don't know. I'm asking. Genuinely asking.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tuambieni kama kuna pulpit. We don't know. That story is on page 4. Still, kule juu on the top strip, Kenya to host Africa's first green investment forum, and that's the People Daily.
The Star. El Nino is here.
Yeah.
Flooding hits Tana again as El Nino looms. And you can already see pictures of people using boats on the front page of the Star newspaper. So, and the Kenya Red Cross personnel rescuing residents after devastating floods swept through Tarasa and Tana Delta, huku ni kule kwa kina Mungatana, sub-counties in Tana River. The floods, which have affected the region for more than a month, have submerged villages, schools and health facilities, disrupting livelihoods and essential services across the county. So there's flooding in Tana River. The warning by the Met Department is that this will be witnessed across board. But the main story is about opposition and lawyers poking holes in Rigathi ouster verdict. Same story we've been talking about. That's the Star. Fresh, independent, different. You can grab yourself a copy of this paper for only 60 shillings in Kenya.
All right, finally, Business Daily. Vodacom and Kenya deal on Safaricom CEO revealed. That is a story that has been captured on page 2. That South African firm to pick telco giants next boss. They say JSC listed company commits to have Kenyan chair. Iran war forces CBK to hold key lending rate for second time is another story on page 14. On the ticker, Kang Group CEO fails to oust board with small investors push. How retail banking propelled I&M past in CBA on asset base, and rising T-bill rates raise cost of borrowing for companies. That's Business Daily.
All right, let's go regional now. Take a look at the papers in Tanzania and Uganda. Today we start off with Tanzania. And Tanzania is going to Singapore. Mulikuwa mnafikiria nyinyi ndio mna rights za Singapore. 5 deals signed as Tanzania woos Singapore investment. Now this is a direct deal. Not dreams of going there. This is a deal between Tanzania and Singapore. So President Samia Suluhu Hassan on Tuesday outlined 5 priority sectors for enhanced cooperation between Tanzania and Singapore, as the two countries move to translate decades of diplomatic relations into stronger trade and investment partnerships. Yeah. Yes, Tanzania-Singapore partnership. So nyinyi wa Kenya mwache, msifikirie tu ati, msidhani Singapore ni kwenu tu, Tanzania wako mbele. Gazeti la Mwananchi habari ni ile ile, Tanzania, Singapore mikakati mipya. Hizo nchi mbili za saini mikataba 5 ya ushirikiano wa biashara, uwekezaji, wataka uhusiano uende hadi nchi za EAC, soko huru la Afrika. Na tuna picha pale ya Rais Samia Suluhu Hassan akizungumza jambo na mgeni wake Rais wa Jamhuri ya Singapore, Tharman Shanmugaratnam. Tharman Shanmugaratnam. Ndo rais wa Singapore. Wewe nyinyi mnazungumza mnaenda Singapore. Je, mnajua jina ya rais wa Singapore? Najaribu kuwafundisha, mnajaribu kunifundisha nyinyi wenyewe. Haya. Jifunzeni basi. Gazeti la Mwananchi kule Tanzania. Tukiangazia Uganda sasa, and we only have one paper from Uganda this morning. That's the Daily Monitor. Besigye sues Muhoozi. Dr. Kiza Besigye accuses the Chief of Defense Forces, General Muhoozi Kainerugaba, of making repeated public statements threatening to kill him on Heroes Day. An act he says prejudices his right to a fair treason trial that is expected to start tomorrow. You know, Kainerugaba, at some point alikuwa amenyang'anywa hiyo ex handle yake by just his military guys. Anaambia no, yes you are the boss but you're tweeting. Even I think his dad, the president, alikuwa amesema anyang'anywe hiyo kitu because he just tweets fwa. Mara will attack Nairobi. Mara he calls Bobi Wine Kabobi. I want Kabobi back so that I can whip him. Now he says he'll kill Besigye. This is the Chief of Defense Forces. You know, anyway, that is what is the big story in Uganda this morning. Besigye sues Muhoozi. Let's see how it's going to be. So, right, so those are the regional dailies and the local ones. Let's take a look at the cartoons today. Karakacha leo zasema nini?
There's another one on the Star. For your violations, hiyo kesi ya Gachagua, court inampatia hapo 50 million Kenyan shillings. Anaambia take it.
Napewa check ya 50 million. For your violations. Lakini kesi imeenda. The one on the Standard talks about the World Cup and the fact that many African countries are finding it difficult to get a visa to the US. So we have this caricature of an African player number 10 anataka kufunga penalty, lakini Uncle Sam amekaa pale anasema entry visa iko wapi?
Finally, the one on the this is Daily Nation.
Daily Nation.
All right, there's a data ATM here. So apparently the world can access data, e-citizen.
Yes, walisema watauza hiyo data to some people.
Data yako.
You remember when Kenyans rather complained about a deal that we had signed with the US about health data? Sasa e-citizen, where you have all everything about yourself.
Yes.
It has a link to your KRA, it has a link to everything.
ID number, your passport.
Your birth certificate, everything about you. Yeah.
Yes.
Kuna watu wana access your data tu vile wanataka. Hiyo ni kama data ATM, anakuja tu na punch, ajua Annie Odida, born on this day, which village.
Imagine.
Just like that. That's a cartoon on the Daily Nation today. All right. So for State of the Nation, today we have Sabina Chege, nominated MP. Joshua Nyamori, advocate of the High Court, will also be with us this morning, alongside Dr. Peter Mbaye, who's the Secretary Planning and Economic Affairs at the DCP. That's Democratic. Hiyo chama ya Rigathi Gachagua. Is the Secretary Planning and Economic Affairs. Najua watu usahau hata KANU what it meant.
But the DCP ni Democratic. You see ni?
Nimesahau. Ya KANU ilikuwa gani?
Kenya what?
Kenya African National Union.
Yes.
FORD, Forum for Restoration of Democracy. Tutaielewa tu. So those ones are coming immediately after the break. If we have time, we could take a look at the traffic situation this morning in and around the city. As you try to get to work this morning, this is how the roads are looking like.
Democracy, Citizens Party.
Thicker is a big problem. All right, Thika Road is a big problem because there's a long stretch of red all the way from Kasarani to Pangani. So if at all you're using Thika Road, isi ile siku ya kawaida, tafadhali. If you can avoid this, please do. I'm telling you the truth. Thika Road, all the way from Kasarani, past Allsops, past KCA University, all the way to the Pangani interchange. It is red. Iyo usijaribu kutumia barabara tafadhali. If at all you can avoid it, especially guys who are at Ruiru, you can use the bypass on either side, Eastern bypass or the Northern bypass. It will be better for you because leo imeshikana proper. Yes. Watu wa Thika Road nafikiri kuna wengine hata watafika kazi asubuhi mapema. So if you can avoid it, please do. Na kama kuna chopper, because hata kuna airstrip pale Northlands, you can take a flight. Yeah.
To where? To Northlands?
Wilson Airport. Then you take a matatu to the CBD. Other than that, tafadhali, pole kwenyu. Thika Road leo ni bumper to bumper. And this is not the normal traffic. Whatever has happened or whatever is happening on Thika Road, kindly let us know what's happening on that road. Eastern bypass, a bit better than Thika Road today. Areas around Utawala, Pale KQ, headquarters, all the way to City Cabanas. It is slow, but at least it's better than Thika Road. Jogoo Road, nothing to report today apart from the normal traffic at Makadara. Ni hapo tu kidogo Makadara. Other than that, nothing to worry about. Machakos bus station, Mudhurwa, it's not so bad. Even getting into town, Haile Selassie Avenue on both sides of the road. A bit of traffic pale kwele roundabout ya Marikiti and Landis Road roundabout, but not much to worry about. Other areas, Mombasa Road all the way from the airport to the city center is looking good. Ile barabara ya kutoka kule, a bit of traffic just before you get to, immediately after Kangemi, a bit of traffic pale, lakini sio shida pale Nairobi School. Kidogo tu, but after that, it's smooth all the way into town. Ngong Road, usual culprits, Pale Junction, Mall, Prestige Plaza, and a City Mortuary roundabout. Other than that, everything else is okay. But Thika Road, once again, I repeat, and this one now is translating to Kiambu Road. It looks like Kiambu Road will also be having heavier traffic, especially from the DCI to Muthaiga. That's the traffic situation today. So remember later on that discussion about in-out, toxic relationships. Yeah. Why do you keep going back when you know it's not so nice? Do stand by for that. Get interactive. Use our social media pages on X, TV47 Digital, on Facebook, TV47 Kenya, the same for YouTube and Instagram. Hashtag?
Hashtag TV47 Breakfast, hashtag story ni yetu, tag us. My handle is at Annie_Dida.
Mine is at Fred Ndimuli.
Story ni yako, story ni yangu.
Story ni yetu.
Right, see you after the break.
Sundays at 8:30 p.m.
Good morning.
You have my rent?
Leo jioni kama tutakuwa tumelipa rent, nauza hii simu yako.
Hamna pesa. I need 3 G's to make my nails today.
Sasa hivi natuhusu aje?
Can I order now? Do you ship? Can I get blinking ones?
Mimi nilikuwa na trade. Nimewekelea kitele yangu. Kitele yangu na trade. Ikikunywa maji.
Oh my God. He left me. Nitumie ni line.
Uko nje kuna wifi.
Why? High five?
Wait, so what do we call this dish again?
I have no idea.
The cucumbers are there specifically for my beauty routine.
Tamulini kero umeka kwa beauty product.
Na ameenda.
Tunafaa tukuwe na logo yetu. Like, si ni brand already.
We won't entertain divas. No. I'm not dealing with a man child.
Amazing. Nishapenda hii energy.
Sundays at 8:30 p.m. on TV47. Saturday at 8:30 p.m.
My father used to tell me that our hotel is the home for travelers. I guess I forgot that. Recently, it's been more of a mirror of my own ambition. Ooh, yeah. We might fail. We will probably fail, but not for a lack of trying. So for the last time and the first time, welcome to Connect In, the best experience in Eastern Central Africa and its environs.
Saturday at 8:30 p.m. on TV47. Wednesdays at 8:30 p.m.
This is a very serious place.
I see that. Surely. Hey, Nyumba.
This is the place.
Just for a few days.
Rule number 2.
Kwani Google inajua maisha yangu wewe?
That's my seat.
It's a chair. It was hers.
You're new here?
Yes.
You learned the rhythm.
This place is run by structure. Structure.
It is a system. Ni venye tu ni system haisikizi.
And what happens if something you haven't chosen enters your day?
I remove it.
That's not always going to be possible here.
Then you are going to have a problem.
Noted.
What are you planning? To escape from a resort?
This is not a resort, my friend. This is a storage.
Wednesdays at 8:30 p.m. on TV47.
Nairobi, where the hustle never sleeps and neither do the scammers. Link up, we are talking about something that's affecting all of us. We are talking trust.
We're diving into the campus life.
Stay fresh, stay safe.
Stay linked up.
My father used to tell me that a hotel is the home for travelers. I guess I forgot that. Recently, it's been more of a mirror of my own ambition. Ooh, yeah. We might fail. We will probably fail, but not for a lack of trying. So for the last time, and the first time, welcome to Connect In, the best experience in Eastern Central Africa and its environs.
This is a very serious place.
I see that. Surely. Hey, Nyumba.
This is the place.
Just for a few days.
Rule number 2.
Kwani Google inajua maisha yangu wewe?
That's my seat.
It's a chair.
It was hers.
You know here?
Yes.
You learn the rhythm.
This place is run by structure. Structure.
It is a system. Ni venye tu ni system iskizi.
And what happens if something you haven't chosen enters your day?
Then you move it.
That's not always going to be possible here.
Then you are going to have a problem.
Noted.
What are you planning? To escape from a resort?
This is not a resort, my friend. This is a storage.
You have to be very careful. Fake money can kill business.
Na leo mko rada yangu.
Small money, kapesa kadogo, big behavior.
I only have big notes.
Alikuwa anatafuta courage.
Yaani nafaje kutengeneza kachumbari na manyanya zinakaa hivi? Ona kiki ni kama kiwaru.
Hiyo ni tonga commitment to the lie. Amejicommit.
Ndio hiyo. Mpatie.
Unajua kama una mtu kitu, hata tu salamu ya kawaida inakaa kama reminder.
Habari yako?
Sintalipa kesho.
Kesho gani when?
Si kesho ya kesho ya tomorrow.
Hiyo tena. Mzee ni budi nikae mchoka.
Ni budi ni madeni.
Tuesdays at 8:30 p.m.
You have to be very careful. Fake money can kill business.
Na leo mko rada yangu.
Small money, kapesa kadogo, big behavior.
I only have big.
The High Court decision on former Deputy President Rigathi's impeachment may have marked the end of one legal chapter for Rigathi Gachagua, but it has also opened a new political battlefield. Speaking a day after the judgment, the former Deputy President dismissed the court-awarded compensation, arguing that his fight has never been about money, but about defending the Constitution and the will of the millions of Kenyans who voted for him.
The 50 million Kenya shillings awarded to me is an insult to my fundamental rights and freedoms and a mockery of the Constitution. We are not interested. Money was never the issue here. Justice and constitutional supremacy was.
Gachagua insists the court contradicted itself by finding that his right to a fair hearing was violated during the impeachment process, while at the same time allowing the impeachment to stand.
Decisions made in violation of the constitutions are null and void. Lord Denning in McFoy declared that if an act is void, then it is, in law, a nullity. It is not only bad, but incurably bad.
Maintaining that the impeachment process was unconstitutional, Gachagua says he has already directed his legal team to appeal the decision, expressing confidence that higher courts will eventually vindicate him.
For avoidance of doubt, I moved to the High Court to fight for my rights and those of Kenyans who participated in the 2022 general elections that have been violated. My prayer was to seek the quashing of an illegal process of impeachment. It is only after the determination of illegality, as has already happened, and setting aside of the impeachment, as should have happened, we were to consider asking for damages for constitutional violations.
The former deputy president argues that all legal avenues must be exhausted before any questions can be raised about his eligibility to seek elective office.
This is a desperate and false propaganda by those terrified of my candidature. Article 99, sub-article 3 of our Constitution provides, in clear and ambiguous terms, that no reason, no person shall be barred from vying as a candidate in any election unless and until all avenues of appeal are exhausted.
Beyond the courtroom, Gachagua is now shifting his focus to politics. After recent engagements across the country, he plans to spend the next 45 days at his Wamunyoro residence, holding consultations with supporters, opinion leaders, clergy, professionals, and political allies.
That I remain committed to work with my colleagues in the United Alternative Government towards the cause of a single presidential flag bearer. I remain hopeful that I will be that candidate for the election of the presidency.
Whether the courts ultimately overturn the impeachment or not, Gachagua's latest declaration signals that his sights are firmly set on 2027, with Wamunyoro emerging as both a political command center and the staging ground for what could become one of Kenya's most consequential opposition campaigns.
Hakuna maswali, nafikiri it is very clear.
Mike Kagwango, TV47, Nairobi.
Yes, this is what the country has been focusing on over the last 2 days. It would appear it will be the same because all front pages of the dailies are just talking about the outcome of that case and what it means going forward. Yesterday, the former deputy president gave that press briefing indicating what he intends to do, including moving to the Court of Appeal, plus even politically going forward what his modus operandi will be. This is what we want to discuss with my panelists this morning on State of the Nation. Dr. Peter Mbaye is the Secretary Planning and Economic Affairs at DCP. Karibu sana. We also have Wakili Joshua Nyamori with us this morning. So we'll be looking at both the political and legal implications of this, now including the statement by the former Deputy President. Now, many people are questioning that what seems to be a contradiction and what kind of precedent it sets, even in as far as public perception is concerned. Many are seeing this, especially the pronouncement and the award of compensation for what the court called or termed as violation of Rigathi Gachagua's rights, yet failing to nullify the impeachment as a contradiction. And it's being seen as a stain on jurisprudence and weakens Parliament's role in as far as impeachments are concerned going forward. But what do you feel the future of such impeachments will be? If at all, yes, the court can say your rights were violated, but the only remedy you can give you is 50 million shillings. You move forward, even if we know your rights were violated.
Thanks so much, Fred, and of course, good morning to our viewers. That is the whole contradiction about this ruling or this judgment. And that is why we are going to the Court of Appeal. We cannot allow this constitution to be mutilated. It's not possible, either by the executive or the legislature or the judiciary itself. The one of the biggest laws of the judiciary of the Republic of Kenya is to safeguard the constitution. That's it. Just interpret it the way it should be. So what we are saying here, unfortunately, I want to say it seems that because these are judges otherwise who have been, I mean, their career professionally for many years. Why this? We tried to think that there could be some external forces because you cannot surely as a judge contradict yourself. You had all the time to write the judgment, right? Never mind they kept us one hour before they started. I don't know what they were doing. But the question is, you cannot say even one article or one sentence in this constitution is very, very, sacred. You cannot say your rights were violated and then you don't give a constitutional remedy. So what they are going to give, now they jumped out of the constitution, they go saying, oh, by the way, we can award you something. It doesn't work that way. Look here, Fred, we must look at the spirit of the constitution. Not just the letter, the spirit. What, by the time somebody is, your rights are violated, because especially the issue of the fair hearing, you cannot condemn me Even look at the Bible. Some of us who believe in the Bible. Even in the ancient times, you can never condemn a man unheard. That is something we took from the ancient days, right? So we are saying, as we respect, because that's why we went to court, but we don't agree with the ruling. And we have to go to the Court of Appeal and the Supreme Court because and by the way, they have made our work easier. Out of our 7 issues we had brought to the court, we are going to hang on that one. The issue of fair hearing. We'll go to it with the Court of Appeal. The beauty is the hurried political impeachment happened in public. Anybody who was a bit wise could see there is something amiss. I mean, the issue of lack of justice in that thing. Now, the public hearing happened in public. Anybody could follow, right? So, even a layman can add 1 + 1. And the 1 + 1 should add to 2, not to 5. So everybody could see there's some expectation everybody had, even if it's not maybe a journalist or a lawyer or somebody else who have been following, because you could see, oh, this seems a weak argument compared to the other. And so we went to court, Fred, the whole day, 10 hours, simply to the judiciary, the third arm of government. After being frustrated by the executive and the legislature, we went so that they can be able to see that indeed 1 + 1 is equal to 2. So they told us 1 + 1 is 7 or 5. That's where the problem is. But I want to suggest this. Let me say this. The Honorable Gachagua stands as our presidential candidate in DCP. We are going to have an NDC later this year to endorse him and give him over to the other United Opposition members.
Right.
And he stands an equal chance. Let me repeat, an equal chance. We are relying on Article 99. They are relying on Article 75. Article 75 presupposes, Fred, that indeed you are guilty of impeachment. That's what Article 75 presupposes of the Constitution. That indeed, by the time you are bad, that indeed you are, and the only legal arm that can confirm to all of us that indeed you are guilty of impeachment is through the courts until the end. So we are ready to go. And by the way, we are legal, we respect the Constitution, but we are political. So we go with the people until we see what happens there.
All right. Wakili Nyamori, the issue is that because this was the very first time such a thing was happening, and the expectation from the court, despite also delivering the judgment, was that at least whatever pronouncements it makes will set a precedence in jurisprudence, that this will be referred to going forward, that whatever pronouncements they make. Fine, the judges said that they prioritize practicality, especially when they say that if at all the judgment goes any other way, there was a risk of having a dual incumbency, that if at all they nullify the impeachment, the result would that we would be having 2 deputy presidents was real. They appear to have been very careful not to cause a crisis. But don't you think that they caused a problem when they awarded this 50 million shillings and said that his rights had been violated? Then that leaves what we are now dealing with, what everyone is referring to as an absurdity.
Not really. You know, I listened to Dr. Mbai and the few people who are going around media and social media trying to interpret this in political terms, and I sympathize with them. And then, you know, here I speak as a student of constitutional law, that in constitutional interpretation, there are 2 things that must be separated. And that is that the findings of the court on the, you know, the impeachment process. And 2, if they found that there is any violation of Rigathi Gachagua's right, what remedy would they grant him? Okay, those are 2 separate things. Now, with regard to the the impeachment process, the court found that by and large, substantively, the process of the impeachment was sound. Okay, it found that the process in Parliament was valid, public participation was valid, that you know, the confirmation by the Senate was valid. It dismissed all the, you know, peripheral claims that Rigathi Gachagua and his legal team
All?
had all the peripheral
On the
claims
violation of his
save for the issue of fair hearing. Okay? And I want you to listen to me here. Fair hearing is a constitutional right. It is considered as a fundamental right. Okay? And that when violated, the Constitution must give a remedy. Okay? And that is what Article 25(3) presupposes. Mm-hmm. However, it is also important to look at Article 25 wholesomely. And the fact that Article 25 not only talks about fair hearing, but talks about the issue of slavery, torture, and cruelty, and talks about the issue of habeas corpus. Okay? Then when you go to Article 23, Article 23 gives the remedies that a court might give, a constitutional court might give. And those remedies is not a single remedy. It gives, a chain of remedies. One is the possibility, is declaration that a violation has occurred. Which declaration happened? That one of the claims by Rigathi Gachagua that it was fair hearing, his rights were violated. Okay? Then it gives possibility of damages. Okay? The remedy of damages is what the court invoked. There are also the remedies on judicial review. And judicial review include remedies like, certiorari, mandamus, and prohibition.
And you've lost that, Kelly.
No, I'd want to. There is something I'm trying to push here that you need to. So what the article says is the appropriate. It talks about appropriate remedy. Mm-hmm. Okay? It does not give a provision for an automatic remedy. And the appropriate remedy must be looked at in context, because this same judgment found that Kindiki had been properly elected into office, okay? And that the impeachment process was complete. The context, therefore, does not allow for, giving Rigathi Gachagua the right to fair hearing in a way that nullifies all the other constitutional processes that had been found to be valid.
Okay.
Okay.
I do have a question with regard to what you've just said, but even as I want to pose a question, I'd like to welcome Madam Sabina Chege to the set. Madam Sabina, karibu sana. She's a member of the National Assembly and would be key to this conversation as well. Good morning as we continue discussing this. But now the question is, because the initial question about this setting a precedent, because the impeachment of a deputy president should and would be the same process as the impeachment of a president. Yeah. Immediately, an impeachment of a president happens before the National Assembly and it goes to the Senate. It means that he can no longer hold office and his deputy ascends to that position. Then during this hearing in the National Assembly and the Senate, his right to a fair trial is violated. Yeah. It would be the same issue, that now the court cannot return him, cannot annul the impeachment because there would be a crisis of two presidents. Yeah. But yet there was a violation in as far as fair trial is concerned. Don't you think that is a precedent we've set?
And that's what I'm trying to tell you, that if you look...
You can just pay him off and say, okay, fine.
If you look at the various limbs of Article 25, it includes, as I've mentioned, habeas corpus. It includes slavery, it includes torture, it includes fair hearing, and I think there's a fourth one. The issue is that even in the issue of habeas corpus, okay, it is possible that when you go to court on the writ of habeas corpus, you will not automatically get restitution in integrum. And restitution in integrum means you are restituted to the position you held before the alleged violation. Yes. Okay? Because that person might be dead, or that person might have already been released. Okay? And so in such a case, or in a case in which probably there was police torture, the best that the court can give, just like in this one, is damages. Okay? Because there are certain things that cannot be restituted. Then allow me then to complete this. The fundamental finding of the court, the issue of fair trial is peripheral. The fundamental finding of the court.
Fair trial is peripheral.
Fair trial is peripheral without diminishing the right of Rigathi Gachagua to fair trial. The court found that the impeachment process was valid. The court found that the processes, save for that peripheral element of fair trial, simply because he sought an adjournment. His lawyer sought an adjournment that he is unavailable. That he is sick. But the same judgment, if you listen to it or read it, then mention that the court threw out the treatment papers that had been filed by Dr. Gigonyo.
Okay.
Basically, that meant that even the basis upon which he was seeking adjournment was basically thrown out. Okay? My hunch is that if Rigathi Gachagua attempts to appeal this matter and Senate and Parliament files a cross appeal, most likely the Court of Appeal will find that on the basis of the fact that his treatment papers had been thrown out as being unreliable as evidence, there's therefore no evidentiary basis for
as you said,
even the issue of the adjournment.
That's a hunch.
Okay?
That's a hunch.
That's a very
Okay. And therefore, my view is that Rigathi Gachagua might even lose the 50 million shillings he has been given.
Okay. Well, let's take a look at National Assembly and the Senate because this process is basically based there. And this is where Madam Sabina Chege comes in. The kind of discussions we're having is because there's a gap somewhere. And this is directly blamed on the Houses of Parliament on failure to pass the impeachment bill of 2018 that probably would have clarified on a lot of these things because, okay, fine, it is the very first time we're getting this, the impeachment of a deputy president. It could also be possibly the impeachment of a president. We've just seen impeachment of governors. But don't you think that the National Assembly and the Senate or the Parliament of Kenya has let Kenyans down in as far as failure to implement the impeachment bill?
Very good morning and thank you for the opportunity. And yes, as the court gave their verdict, they said they directed the National Assembly to have a proper framework for the impeachment process. You know, what happens is some of these things that are in the Constitution were not envisaged that they would happen, but it happened. And especially nobody imagined that we would have an impeachment of a deputy president or a president, though these things are in the Constitution. And as you have rightly put it, we've seen impeachment of governors, and we have never, ever experienced what we had. So this was the first time. And the court addressed Parliament and gave instructions on what to be done so that in future, then the process will not be seen to be ad hoc. And the process is going to be very clear on what the expectation. And I think that's why the legal team for the former Deputy President, Rigathi Gachagua, was trying to poke holes into the process that was done in Parliament. But all the same, from where I stand, I see that the court tried to bring stability in this nation. And they were trying to look at the democracy, the justice, and the award, because it's very important that we note that the court did not fault what Parliament did. And the 50 million award was only in terms of the process or denial or fair hearing, not on the other issues that Gachagua had been accused of, but when they requested that he was not available in Parliament. And I think if you followed Senate yesterday, this was an issue that came up because the senators said, we tried to ask his lawyers where he was, and his lawyers are on record saying, we do not know. So even the 50 million, as somebody has put it, it might not even be given because at the end of the day, the 50 million was given for denial of fair hearing. When
the pronouncement by the court.
Yeah, exactly. When the Senate, I had them saying they're going to appeal, because they tried to push the lawyers. The lawyers were present. Remember, the former deputy president was present in the morning. They went for a break. When they came back, his lawyers were there waiting for him. And they were at pain to explain to Parliament where he was. So it later emerged that he was in the hospital, but there was nobody who formally informed the Senate that our client had fell ill or there was a problem and we are requesting for adjournment but they were seated, even themselves they were ready to proceed. And they could not explain to Parliament where their client was. So basically, the 50 million was only on that issue, not on any other.
Do you think that also sets a precedent that in future, even for the impeachment of a president, that even without fair hearing at either houses of parliament, that yes, you can just pay him some money and say,
no,
okay, fine.
I think we need to be very clear. The issue was not about the process of impeachment. The issue, or even this compensation, was not about the process or the issues that were raised for him to be impeached. So the court addressed itself and said the process was followed, but...
Haven't we seen some decisions by the Senate reversed by the High Court on technicalities, especially when it comes to impeachment of governors?
You know what?
That a technicality or a lack of fair trial could result in an annulment of the impeachment of the courts.
This was not lack of fair trial. And it's good that and I want again to go back to it. The deputy president was given a chance to come and address himself and address the Senate and answer the questions, and he attended. In the afternoon, he disappeared. And the Senate did not know, even his legal.
We're just going by the pronouncements by the courts. That
exactly,
the courts say there was a violation of his rights. We are also
Kenyans. We also watched. We were also there. And we saw what happened. So if you are lawyers, if he was sick, and I'm not saying he was not sick, and there was a letter from the hospital, or the lawyers came in and said, excuse us, our client had fell sick, so we request for adjournment, but they could not explain where he was.
But you see, we are not trying to re-argue this debate that has already gone through the judiciary.
Yes.
Yes. The judiciary has already been presented with these facts, and at the end of the day made a pronouncement that regarding Gachagua's rights were violated in as far as fair hearing is concerned.
But you see, Fred,
I'm concerned about the precedent that is being set. I'm not talking about regarding Gachagua's case.
Fred,
it is the precedent being set going forward.
What Mheshimiwa is trying to tell you, and which you refuse to listen to, is the court made a whole 350 pages decision. You cannot interpret and make conclusion on the court decision based on one paragraph. Okay? Even the interpretation of the Constitution, courts have held that the Constitution must be interpreted wholesomely. Okay? And that is why I am trying to tell you that the court found that the Parliament was right in impeaching Rigathi Gachagua.
And that's not, we're not arguing about that.
Yeah, the constitutional architecture for impeachment was found to be sound. That's one. Two, just allow me.
Hear me right. Hear me right. No.
Allow me to.
There are 10 things the court pronounced itself on.
Yes.
And we are not questioning the 9.
Exactly.
I'm asking the precedent that this one pronouncement.
So that one pronouncement, in my view, as a student of constitutional law, cannot then reverse.
It is not about regarding Gachagua's case. Get me right.
And that's what I'm trying to tell you.
The precedent set.
And that's the precedent we're talking about here. The precedent we are talking about here. You see, the fair hearing did not start with this impeachment. Even in court, okay, there are decisions that have been made that if police keep you in the cells for more than 24 hours, previously certain courts then stopped the proceedings. But the prevailing jurisprudence is that if there's an offense for you which you are being tried, and you claim that certain rights as an arrested person or certain rights to fair trial were violated, you can proceed and prosecute your right to fair trial, but it does not nullify
I think in agreement.
The process of
But
prosecution.
does it set a precedent?
Okay.
That fair trial can be violated and we move on.
And the precedent it sets is that this court, unless the Court of Appeal then overturns its decisions, has found that the fair trial with regard to request for adjournment was violated, and the court remedied it as the Constitution provides, because the constitutional framework provides the court with almost 5 different alternatives and indicates that the option in the alternatives that the court will pick up must be appropriate. And in the Mitubel, there's a case called the Mitubel case, in which the Supreme Court then decided that the remedy must be in context and must be appropriate. Okay? And for it to be in context and appropriate, the context is that the court has found that Parliament was right in impeaching Rigathi Gachagua. Secondly, that process was complete and the guy had been handed over a political death certificate, okay, which is the impeachment. And that, further to that, another person, who is Professor Kithure Kindiki, had been elected and sworn in and is serving. And therefore, that those processes cannot be reversed. So in this context, it was appropriate that he be given damages. And he has been given damages.
Yes.
What
Mheshimiwa
is saying...
what they're saying, that is their lifeline now.
Their lifeline, my point is that, separate these two issues. Politically, Rigathi Gachagua is dead. You cannot return a dead person. If you, the right to life is fundamental. If you then go to court after a person is dead, and you say that the process...
Politically dead? That's the question we are asking.
Is
do you believe that Rigathi Gachagua
dead?
is politically
dead?
Okay? See, Fred, Wakili is just talking like those judges. So much English. And the people who
because I'm a lawyer here, you are a politician.
That is the problem. You know, so much English. We know how to read basic things in the Constitution. Article 25, fundamental rights and freedoms that may not be limited. One of them is the right to a fair trial. It's there in black and white. So all these English is...
So the court has set a precedent on fair trial.
And that's why we cannot allow it to go on. That is why we are going
and
to...
And has vindicated
No, please.
Allow him.
People from the State House and the government here, they are coming here with a lot of energy. So much fight. I don't, it's not necessary. Let's go slowly. We have been waiting for this for the last 2 years. It has come. Simple. And by the way, the majority of Kenyans are not even lawyers. They are laymen. So please address yourself to the laymen. Not so much English. Oh, you know these. Listen, Mheshimiwa, you talked about the Balancing Act, which is a must in judiciary. And that is why, Fred, let me be very simple.
And we're not even arguing about possibility of restitution.
And listen this. No. That's where I'm coming from. We just said we don't want to go back and have 2 husbands.
Yes.
At Arabia next, right? We don't want to go and have 2 DPs. It is us who said that, not them, not even the judiciary. We made it very easy for them. By the way, we don't want to go back. We don't want to go back.
And that's not...
this is a fair regime. We don't need...
I'm stuck on that fair trial.
That is it. Why, Fred? We said, please, judge, do this. Just find that the procedure was not followed. Fair trial and other issues. They dismiss all the others. But they couldn't dismiss the fact that we didn't get fair trial. Now listen. And we said, find it that, lift up the impeachment. Let us go. Let us free. Let us move with our lives. We are not coming back to the presidency. But because since you lift it up, you are going to give us damages. It was, by the way, not a match. They were going to add only that 1 million to 50. And also another insult. While yes, the 50 million is an insult, another insult is that we be paid by Senate. Like, really? You know, it is the government that should pay us. So the only thing that we're supposed to do, lift up the impeachment, give us damages, we walk out that door forever.
Not seeking restitution.
We don't want restitution. Why are they making it a big issue? We had said we don't want. So what they were saying is, excuse me, judges, we hope there was no external interference. The moment Kenyans begin thinking that the last line of defense, the judiciary, could be influenced by the executive, that is the end of this country. And I can tell you this, we are going to fight both in courts and politically for this. For this. It's not about us. It's not about anybody else. So all the big, it's not necessary.
All right.
You know, talking this and that and all that.
And because we might get stuck in this legalese for too long, my question was what the pronouncements of the courts means for the going forward in future when it comes to impeachment of a president or a deputy or even a governor. What precedent have they set going forward? And can the same scale be used in the impeachment of a president? That the pronouncement of a fair trial not being there, but yes, we'll pay you and you go. But there was no fair trial. That's a concern. But I want us to move to the political.
As we move to the political, I just want to say that the whole so-called big issue here. Because when you talk about fair trial, there were many issues that were raised. Many issues, from the public participation, whether the impeachment process was followed, until the tail end, where we are talking about, we requested for adjournment. That was not granted. And the process proceeded. But the question, and the big question is here, actually, if we were to look at this issue, where now it's bringing the controversy, so were the judges just trying to be nice to the side of regarding Gachagua? Because the issue
was
raised...
being nice a necessity.
Exactly.
Because it sets a precedence going forward.
Because the whole process, till the tail end, there was justification of how it happened and how whether it was a fair process or not. It was fair process. A fair hearing was done at the National Assembly, at the Senate, till the end, when the deputy president, the former deputy president himself, was present and presented himself, and he had a team of his lawyers. But at the end of the day, his team of lawyers appears in the afternoon. He doesn't show up. They did not give a reason why he was not there until, and I'm saying it is on record, if we can be able to go back to that day, where his lawyers were asked where he was, he said they do not know.
And you know, we are going back to the same debate about...
That's what I'm saying.
It's not a trial. It's not a trial.
It's okay, it's not a trial, but you see, we can also not come here and mislead Kenyans that I don't know what has been done. There's a big issue, the judiciary... You know, we cannot trust
by the pronouncement.
I am not
because lawyers will go back to that and say.
And that's why the Senate said. And that's why the Senate said they're going to appeal also on that decision.
Yes.
And I followed a bit of Senate yesterday, not really much, but they also had something to tell the judiciary. So that is, anyway, it's a court process. It's ongoing. The people who are to appeal
when
will appeal.
When it comes to lawyers, and I think that's my problem, because lawyers will always go back to this judgment and say a precedent was set, because it was the very first time we experienced this. But I want us to go to the politics.
Yeah, but even as we go to the politics, my point is that judgment is sound, unless set aside by the Court of Appeal.
Yes.
The High Court did its duty. I personally feel that the Court of Appeal might set it aside on the basis that even that 50 million was not justified. Okay? Because the evidentiary basis upon which the fair trial was argued was not established. Immediately, the treatment documents were thrown out.
Yes.
However, let's go to the political.
And on the political one, you said Rigathi Gachagua is politically dead. Rigathi Gachagua, we watched a story and he says he will be on the ballot if at all that the United Alternative Government decides that he is the candidate. Why would you say he's politically dead, yet he still has the Court of Appeal and the Supreme Court?
Yeah, you know, the Rigathi Gachagua and his ilk are trying to, misinterpret Article 29C. Article 29C is talking about if somebody still has a right to, is processing his rights through Court of Appeal in a normal, litigation that would, prevent him from holding office. However, impeachment is not a normal litigation. Impeachment is not even a litigation in court. Impeachment is a political process. Parliament sits as a representation of the people of Kenya who voted in 2022. And it provides that impeachment becomes effective on the day the Senate makes its decision. And the import of impeachment is that then you are not fit to hold public office. Immediately that decision was made, then it is not Article 99 that kicks in, because Article 99 speaks to ongoing litigation. Immediately the Senate made the decision. What kicks in is Article 75(3). And Article 75(3) speaks to, the fact that anybody who has been found unfit, has been removed from office, okay, for violation of the Constitution, is unfit to hold public office.
What happened in the case of Governor Wambora?
Now, just listen to me.
The court stopped his impeachment even after the Senate had pronounced.
Just listen to me. The point is that this court, the High Court, has actually validated that process. So as we stand, regardless, impeachment process is valid. Since it is valid, an appellate court cannot give life to a death sentence unless the death was reversed. Are you getting my point? Mm-hmm. And so my point, therefore, is that if the impeachment process was still ongoing, then the court could say that until the court determines whether it can be completed or not, Rigathi Gachagua might run. In this process, the impeachment process and the political death certificate was issued. The impeachment process was complete. The political death certificate was issued.
I hear you, Wakili.
Regarding the no court process can reverse that.
How different?
The court cannot interpret the Constitution in a way that results in absurdity.
And I'm asking
when the Constitution...
What happened in the case of Governor Wambora?
Allow me just to finish this part. Once the Constitution had allowed Senate to remove this guy from office for violation of the Constitution, and he was effectively removed, and he's in the village, he's not in office. Okay, it would be an absurdity, and the Constitution cannot be, interpreted in an absurd manner. It would be an absurdity to then interpret that even as he challenges that decision, he can run for a higher
My question still stands.
Okay.
If we may draw a parallel with what happened with Governor Wambora,
yes,
even after successful impeachment, both at the County Assembly and at the Senate, that the court still allowed him to return to office.
But then the governor's position is not a deputy governor's position.
The impeachment law is the same across board.
The governor's position is not a deputy president's position. And what the point I'm also driving... Are we using
different laws when it comes to impeachment for governors and the president?
Yes.
Yes, there are different laws because the governor's impeachment has an act of parliament. Okay, which is the County Government Act. It makes provisions for that. So courts can find on the basis of that. This was found specifically on constitutional law. And this is the second highest office in the country. Mm-hmm. Okay? And it would be an absurdity that somebody who had been found to have violated the Constitution and whose violation has been confirmed by the High Court can then be allowed to run for a higher office when it had been found right that he be removed from a lower office. The Constitution can never be interpreted in that way. And so I can tell you with certainty here that Rigathi Gachagua will not run in 2027, and I would advise my friend, he's very good friend, Dr. Mbai, that they need to start searching for an alternative presidential candidate. I actually urge them to come back home. We will welcome them around President William Ruto.
Madam Sabina Chege, there's also a lot of debate around how long a person who has been impeached can and should stay away from public office. I do not know if there's any provision for such a time period. We know that there are people who are impeached and they've had attempts to come back and run for office. Kindly give us that clarification.
I would not speak like an expert, but I know for governorship there's a period of 10 years, but for the office of president and deputy president, there is finality in impeachment, in such that you might not be allowed to hold any position in a political party or hold any position.
Even in a political
Even in any public office, you cannot. That's a finality.
Even as a political party leader?
Yes, you can't. You can't even be a political party leader. You can't hold any political party leadership. And also at the same time, you can't hold any office, public office in Kenya. And that's the difference between the impeachment of the governor and the impeachment of the deputy president and the presidency. Somehow in the presidency, it's a bit tough, and there's almost a finality in the impeachment. Once it's done, and that's might be why the critics will argue that sometimes resigning would be better, because once you resign, you get your benefits, and then you can still run for office. But once you go through the impeachment process, then it becomes very difficult to hold any political position or public office. But having said that, I think regarding Gachagua, I would not say he's politically dead. Personally, I am a politician. I've been, I think, in politics even more earlier than him. He was in administration. I joined politics earlier. And I think we have seen BAMBA, though he was running for positions and not even attaining to the presidency, he remained an active politician. And I think what Rigathi said yesterday, of him saying he's going for a 45 days, of the political public life, and he's going to be meeting with people at his Wamunyoro place. It reminded me when there was that dispute between him and the president, and he just disappeared. And the next time he reappeared, he was at Wamunyoro. And after reappearing, then there was a lot of havoc. That's when he started having meetings that were really contradicting what his boss was saying, or because the deputy presidency and the presidency, they are supposed to work as a team. And we started seeing the differences now publicly, and maybe whatever was happening behind the scenes, it came out. So him saying he's going to meet with other political opposition leaders, and he's also going to meet with elders, the church, I could see he's trying to form a base, and he just wants to retreat and form a base. So you cannot ignore him, you cannot wish him away. Though the issue of him holding any political office, I think it's something that he might need to rethink. But in Kenya, I normally say you don't have to really hold a political office. You can still be a kingmaker. And maybe that's the position the reality have to hit him, that he's not going to hold any political office, he cannot run for office, and so he can join with the like-minded people and push his agenda. The other thing is that Rigathi is very good in acting or playing victim. And you see this clause that we have all been discussing, the award, the injustice. He even said, am I worth 50 million? I don't want. So he plays victim. There's a possibility that he's going to have a following of his people, his followers, who would feel like justice was denied. So, and he's very good at that. Very, very good at that. So even on the side of the government, we must be very careful on how we handle the process. Because I think the biggest undoing has been, people showing a don't care. And I think that's what the court was trying to say. Yes, the process was okay, but we feel you. We feel for you. We just want to show that we have not ignored everything
about fair
said.
Trial, you feel it could play against
that's what I'm saying. And so
the government
basically human. And I think this is something even us who are in active politics need to know, that sometimes you have to humble yourself. Sometimes you don't have, when somebody is down, you don't have to keep on hitting so hard and giving very hard, comments, because you only give an advantage of the person who is now acting as a victim. And so he has also this active, the political, he has said he's going to challenge the decision. That means this case is not dead. Once it goes to now the higher court, it also becomes still active. So basically, you cannot wish Rigathi Gachagua away. He's going to be around.
A question, because according to Wakili, that cannot happen. This one is finished. But Rigathi feels that since he still has an opportunity to go to the Court of Appeal and even the Supreme Court, that his political life is still very much alive. And if at all these processes go and are still alive beyond the 2027 elections, then he could still run.
No, he cannot run. And once impeachment is done, unless now the court says otherwise, it is a finality. And that's what I've told you. I was trying to explain that once it's done at the Senate, once the impeachment is done, it's very final, unless now the court will come. It's already final. And let me just say something, because the issue here, I think he talked about he has 4 million votes, that he brought these 4 million votes. The issue and the trickiest bit is about the mountain, that he totally assumes that the mountain is fully behind him. And I can tell you, I was in opposition. I was not part of the Kenya Kwanza government. And when Rigathi Gachagua was announced as the deputy president, we were a bit relieved. We were very happy. Actually, we used to say, give Rigathi the mic. So this notion that he has created, that I brought to William Ruto 4 million votes, is very far from the truth.
Okay.
It's very far from the truth. So what he might be, I'm not his advisor, is to work on this block that he calls the mountain, that he assumes he has. That is what he really needs to work on for him to survive politically.
Let's listen to what the former deputy president had to say. He held a press conference yesterday. He talked about what he intends to do going forward in as far as the case is concerned. He also talked about what he's doing next in as far as his political life is concerned. Let's listen to that.
I wish to confirm to my supporters across the country that I'm eligible to vie as a presidential candidate, and I'll be on the ballot on the 10th of August 2027, should the formula that will be agreed upon by the United Alternative Government favor me as a single presidential candidate. When I was hounded out of office in October 2024, I retreated to my village in Wamunyoro and held consultative engagements with the people of Kenya for 4 months, including men, women, millennials, Gen Zs, the clergy, lay Christians, professionals, business people, retired civil servants, and opinion leaders. And after exhaustive consultations for 4 months, talking to more than 15,000 people, I was instructed to form a political party, solidify Mount Kenya political base, and look for friends across the country. This I have successfully done. The mountain is united to a man. And we now have arguably the most popular political party in the country, DCP. My support base is consolidated in totality, and I have looked for friends across the country. My supporters have now instructed me urgently to embark on the implementation of our joint strategic stance from the Wamunyoro residents for a period of 45 days. After a tour of Western Kenya, where I want to go and support my deputy party leader, Cleo Malala and Eugene Wamalwa over the weekend, from Monday, I'll camp in Wamunyoro village for 45 days to start exhaustive and extensive consultations with my supporters and opinion leaders and stakeholders.
All right, Dr. Mbai, you've heard what the other two panelists are saying. He is politically dead. He cannot vie for office. But how important is this 45-day conclave, this retreating back to Wamunyoro? Are we saying that after that pronouncement, the judgment by the verdict by the court, that probably the Mount Kenya base is now under threat?
Allow me to say this. Article 75 says, just in a nutshell, 3, a person who has been dismissed or otherwise removed from office for a contravention of the provisions mentioned in clause 2 above is disqualified from holding any other state office. Now, the clause 2 talks about Article 76, 77, 78, about holding a gift, dual citizenship. Those are the things that article talks about. When he says, under that, you cannot be. Now, let me tell you, we are not here to do a trial because it happened. But Article 99C3 is very key. A person is not disqualified. Under clause 2 above, all the issues about disqualification of holding office, unless all possibility of appeal or review of the relevant sentence or decision has been exhausted, we will be working to IBC to be cleared. That one I can tell you. That's number one. We'll be working, and by the way, the more the president, because this is presidential order. Impeachment was a presidential order. I mean, all the MPs and senators went to our State House. They were given money. They were told to sign. I mean, the testimonies are enough. others 10, depending on your level.
Wait.
I have my time. It's my time.
No. You know, you cannot say all MPs were given money. That is really unfair.
Majority.
That is really unfair. And the testimonies from Koibori, let me
qualify. Most of them who impeached the honorable, others went and they refused. Others 10 million, 20. Others
that is a lie.
Okay. I mean, testimonies are there.
That's a lie. Which one? By
this is a presidential order to kill the Honorable Rigathi Gachagua politically. I can tell you it will rebound so badly for him. In any case, the moment you attack someone and the person is innocent, you rally everybody around him. This is going to be one of the biggest political lessons the President William Ruto and his two-term people
You don't think this verdict by the court now changes the view of the Mount Kenya
people? Can I tell you something? First of all, I've made it very clear. And if they want to test us, what is going to happen, Fred? We will make sure we are at the ballot so that people can see that we can vie. That one I can tell you. We have talked to IBC. We have already, they have their lawyers. We have talked to them. Nothing will stop us so long as the case is active in court. It's not our business to tell them to hurry. They're not in a hurry, by the way. We are going slowly. In any case, let me tell you, since yesterday, the day before yesterday rather, the whole country, in and out of government, Africa, including the most powerful country on earth, the US, everybody was talking about Rigathi Gachagua. The guy who was supposed to be impeached and forgotten in 2 weeks. Even today, we are talking about the Honorable Rigathi Gachagua. That's how powerful this man is, by the way, okay? All along beyond Mount Kenya. So let me tell you what's going to happen. This issue, when I hear Nyamori tell us come back home, that's all, he has no home. Because, I don't know which home. Is it UDA he is inviting us to, or ODM, or which home? This politics, we know a bit of it. Okay, some of them went to study, others veterinary engineering. We went to study a bit of political science. We understand a few things about this. They may know about the law. That's why one arm will go to court of appeal. The other arm will go political. I can tell you this, within 45 days, we'll go back to phase 2 and the final phase of consolidating. Not just the mountain, but the people you're going to see in Wamunyoro are from across the country. From the coast, from northeastern, from Low Nyanza, from Rift Valley, right? From every other part to now come in readiness for August, the 1 year final push. Okay? And I will tell you this. It's unfortunate that President Ruto had planned the impeachment. It didn't come as a surprise. The moment he picked the Honorable Rigathi Gachagua against Kidiki before the elections, that's the day President William Ruto decided he doesn't want a very firm DP. He wants a yes person. So just to clear your air, this is not something that happened during this regime. I mean, he had planned it. I'll get the Honorable Rigathi Gachagua, go get me the votes in Mount Kenya, then I'll kick him out, get Kidiki, who will be jumping the way I want him to jump, because of the issue of the imperial presidency.
Yes.
And so now,
this 45-day period, I'm more concerned about that because we're also getting into a very politically charged period, especially with the Ol-Kalou by-elections.
Yes.
Are we saying that Rigathi Gachagua will not be involved in that, despite the fact that he was at the forefront insisting that DCP has to take this?
What I can tell you, the 45 days includes mobilization for Ol-Kalou.
From Wamunyoro?
Yes. We will be in Ol-Kalou at the right time. We are not in a hurry. We are here. There are people working there. We have many teams, of course, doing everything else. So the 45 days includes, of course, planning for Ol-Kalou. One of the things we must do, and Fred, I told you before God, with all humility, I will not come to this show to tell you that our votes have been stolen in Ol-Kalou again, the way they stole in Mbere, the way they stole in Emurua Dikil, Marava, and Magarini. That one I told you. And I say before God because I don't want to chest dump, right? So we are doing properly. And I can tell you, once we win on Kalau, 70% of our problems will be done. 70%. I can tell you in Mount Kenya and other places of the country. So we are very concerned about moving forward. As a matter of fact, after All Kalau, after we launch our 1 year onslaught, one of the things we are going to do is to unveil the Honorable Rigathi Gachagua as our presidential candidate in DCP. Okay, officially. Kalonzo have done it, Martha Karua have done it, Eugene Wamalwa, Mama Tiang'i has been given the go-ahead to go. We are coming and unveiling the Honorable Rigathi Gachagua. And it will be all systems go. By the way, let me tell you, we will not be stopped. The people around the president and the advisors and the two-term MPs, they have been told, don't worry, this man will be finished. Don't worry. That's why I decided, this case has to go this way. By the time they know that they will need the Gachagua to vie anywhere in Mount Kenya, it will be too late. And the kind of money they are being promised, they will go with 100 million, 200 million to the elections next year. It will mean nothing. Right. So the men who they have worked so hard to try to remove, I can tell you seated here, will be one of the most consequential figures going into the elections.
Let's now try and see the other side.
Can I just say something about
Very
that?
briefly.
Because I am one person who is from Mount Kenya. I'm a member of parliament. I do not need Rigathi Gachagua to win. I only need God and God's favor, not a human being. So that notion of you need somebody, we have vied.
But
before.
looking at the political
Rigathi Gachagua did not exist before, and even when he ceases existing, there are still members of parliament who will be voted in.
Thank you for
So
that.
there is no demigod. There is
I'm
no.
looking at the other side.
We can't just say that we need
like the
an
government
individual.
side. And initially, pundits had said that any success in the courts for Rigathi Gachagua would actually have been positive for President William Ruto in his bid for presidency, because if Rigathi Gachagua would have insisted on running, that would have affected the unity of this opposition. Now that the case has gone this way and you say he's not eligible to vie, do you think it makes the case easier for President William Ruto or for the united opposition? One person less for that debate about who's a candidate?
President William Ruto is going to be re-elected as President of the Republic of Kenya and will serve to 2032. That you can record, and we can sit down with you here with Dr. Mbai.
In 2033?
Until he will serve until 2032. My point is this. You see, Rigathi Gachagua has been running on a grievance currency. Okay? Grievance currency has a time period. Okay? And that I was wrongly, impeached. The court has found that Parliament, National Assembly, and Senate rightly impeached Rigathi Gachagua. Okay, that's one. Two, the question is, what is the conversion index of the vote that Rigathi Gachagua claims to be controlling? And I deliberately use the word claim. If you listen to Mheshimiwa Sabina Chege saying that she only needs God and the people, okay? Now, the conversion rate here I'm talking about, if a candidate has support because he is running, to what extent can he transfer those votes to another person if he's not running? My view is that that conversion rate is not as high as Rigathi Gachagua would want to argue. In fact, immediately it becomes real, and I think in the coming days and weeks, it is going to become real that he is politically finished. He cannot even run for MCA, okay? And therefore, the entire population of Mount Kenya, in my humble view, cannot put their fate on a man whose political future is closed. And I give you the example of Matiba. Matiba was popular. In fact, some people claim that he beat Moi in 1992. And then Matiba burned his voting card in 1997. And a few years later, did you hear of Matiba? He was completely gone. So my view is that the ordinary voter in Mount Kenya, and voters always think about their individual needs when they get to the ballot booth, will ask themselves, this man who has been banished from the politics of the country, as is now retreating to the village to try and find new relevance, can we invest our future in him? The ordinary voter in Mount Kenya will realize that it will be a lost cause, that they would rather find new paths. And I'm seeing a possibility. I interact with many people from Mount Kenya. I see very able men and women, young and old, who are capable of establishing themselves at the national level and drawing the confidence and inspiring the Mount Kenya community. And we still have more than 1 year to the election. In my view, in another 6 months or so, the influence of Rigathi Gachagua will dissipate, new individuals will arise, and will negotiate for positions. Some may go to the so-called united opposition, but some will come to President William Ruto as the only viable presidential candidate with a national framework, whilst those others will remain with their ethnic, conclaves. I can tell you that just like Rigathi Gachagua, even those others, the conversion rate of their voters from themselves to somebody they would choose would be very low.
Do you believe in what Wakilia said, that the uncertainty of his position will actually be beneficial for William Ruto, that Mount Kenyan voters will go back to President William Ruto?
Yes, the big question, even with his political party, and again I say I'm not an expert, is that he's a leader, but not legal, because he cannot hold any political party position. I think recently he also said they have appointed Medho as the SG, and I don't think that was gazetted, because Medho is still a member of UDA party. And so if it was such a strong party, Medho would have resigned from UDA. Then there would have been a by-election, and then he now runs with DCP party, if it's as strong as it is. And when you say it's the Mount Kenya party, remember Martha Karua has a political party. We have Munya with PNU. We also have JB Muturi with DP. So we also have Jubilee, but Jubilee currently, which is the leader, it's not clear on the leadership of Jubilee Party. And so it's heavily Matiang'i being a deputy party leader, and Kioni, and then we have Zak as a deputy SG, and then we also have the former the one who was running for governorship position in Narok. So basically, when you say this is a party for the Mount Kenya people, I think you need to think twice. Secondly, we know there are other people, politicians, who are active in politics, who have political parties, and they have not unveiled. And as he has said, properly put it, there is a season that will come in when we'll have these political parties coming in. Think of people like Dende Nyoro. One has it that they may be having their own political party. Even when my own governor, Kangata, said he's not going to run for with UDA party, he was not clear on which political party he's going to run for, and most probably there might be having another political party that is hidden somewhere. So things are going to be different, dynamics will be different. And I think at this point, instead of somebody becoming a dictator and saying, unless you come through me, you cannot be, the approach should be much more accommodative. Like, I am a mature leader, I am a senior, so I embrace everybody. When you say, let's come and reason together, that is the only way of winning people. But chest thumping, and I've said, trying to be a demigod and trying to say, if not me. And sometimes even there is karma. And there is also, God can do things so that you also learn a lesson. Because you cannot take up and usurp that power, that it's only me who can determine. We have been elected before, and it's only through God that we also got into the positions we are in. So nobody can dictate and say this is the position. And looking at the former Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, who was the party leader of Jubilee Party from TNA, when it came to the time he was leaving, and everybody shouted him and told him, you will finish and go. And I think that revolt came in because he was not seeking for another term. But when you have a president who is seeking for another term, who is sitting in the office, you cannot just wish that person away. And looking at the history of Kenya and the politics, you cannot wish that person away. So I'll say, let us be very careful on how we treat people. Okay. Because you need people tomorrow. We must be. And, let me just mention this also. Interestingly, and especially, let me talk about my county. The people who are behind Rigathi Gachagua, they are not behind Rigathi Gachagua because they love him, because they want to use the platform to be re-elected, because they have done nothing for the people. And because the only thing they can come and say, it's one term, that's it. They have because these people are the ones actually who started the process of impeachment of Rigathi Gachagua. Talk about somebody like Senator John Uto, talk about Moreu, who is the MP for Gatanga. They are the ones who started the debate and saying how Gachagua was a bad person. But because somebody wants to hold on like a court somewhere,
And before I give you an opportunity for your final comments on this, and I'll come to you, Dr. Mbai, in a short while, we want to gauge the feelings on the streets with regard to the future of this politics we're talking about, the future of Rigathi Gachagua as a politician, and even the future of the case, because this has been a big discussion. Muthoni Brenda, our reporter on the ground here in Nairobi, is actually somewhere within the CBD, one of the busiest places within the she's actually at the bus station, and there are people there who are eagerly waiting to comment on this. Muthoni, good morning. What are the people saying at bus station with regard to what we're talking about?
A very good morning to you, Fred Indimuli, and the guests in studio. I am coming to you live from the bustling bus station here at the heart of Nairobi. Now, the High Court's ruling, the Milimani ruling on the impeachment of the former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has continued to spark conversations here in Nairobi. And now, Indimuli, I am standing right here with shoeshiners here at the bus station, and I want us to look them in so that we can get to hear their opinions. What is the future of the former Deputy President politically? Habari yako, good morning.
Good morning.
Wacha tafadhali naomba nikushikie hii na nikuulize, kulingana na ule uamuzi wa koti na ile presa ambayo Gachagua alifanya jana, maoni yako ni yepi kuhusu the future of Rigathi Gachagua politically?
Politically, Rigathi Gachagua is actually correct, and I really appreciated him for refusing to take that 50 million awarded from the court, because should it happen he accept that offer, will make him become a petty person, of which people will start running away from him, and by saying that he is after money, not after the benefits of all Kenyans. So I'm firmly on his side, and I'm urging Gachagua to continue soldiering on and pursue his rights up to the latter. Because in Kenya, we have a 4-layer court, and he should not accept that offer anymore. The reason being, if he do so, his supporters will run away from him, and right now we have invested on him. Yes.
All right. So according to you, politically Rigathi Gachagua is still very much in?
Right now, Dr. Rigathi Gachagua is more popular, less than 2022. Rigathi Gachagua of 2026 is more popular than Rigathi Gachagua of 2022. So Rigathi Gachagua options is getting better day by day, of which he should not be underestimated. Yes.
All right, asante sana. Na wewe baba, habari yako, good morning. Unafikiria hii kesi imemaliza Gachagua politically? Niambie tu yes ama no.
No.
Haijamaliza politically?
Yes.
Bado anaweza endelea kupigana kisiasa?
Yes, bado anaweza endelea.
Yeah. Na wewe baba mwenye unasoma gazeti, what do you think? Hii maneno imemaliza Gachagua politically?
Haijamaliza. Kwa sawa, kwa sawa.
Kwa hivyo wewe una support venye alikataa ile 50 million?
Ako sawa, ako sawa. Ako sawa.
All right, wacha tuendelee kusikia maneno ya hawa. Kuna hapa watu wa boda boda. All right. Habari yako, good morning Shushaina.
Mzuri.
Nikuulize, in your opinion, hii maneno ya Rigathi Gachagua ya mahakamani imemaliza politically ama bado wako sawa?
Mimi naona imemjenga.
Imemjenga
kwa sababu moja tu. Kile tunataka serikali itaki. Na mimi kwa maoni yangu Gachagua pala uliota mbovu serikali vile inakaa. Yeah.
Jana venye uliona amekataa hiyo 50 million, unaunga mkono akataa hiyo 50M?
Mimi naunga mkono kwa sababu za kisiasa. Hiyo ni sawa. Pale mbalo unaona adui yako anakupeleka vibaya, kataa ili uendelee kumzamisha vile ambavyo wao wanafikiria kwamba anamzamisha. Nenda kumuuza.
All right, there you have it, Fred Indimuli. Those are the feelings of Nairobians right here at the bus station. Back to you in studio.
Thank you so much, Muthoni Brenda, for the good job you keep doing every day. And asante sana kwa wale wafanyakazi pale kwenye bus station for your opinion on this matter. And now I want to give a final round of comments to you for this. There's so many questions to be asked. It would appear opinion is split on whether or not Rigathi Gachagua is still viable as a politician going forward. And what is your feeling about this, what we've set as a precedent in as far even as electing or appointing or even nominating a running mate going forward, given the kind of treatment we've seen with the first two deputy presidents?
Unfortunately, we have a very good constitution, but the men at the top, he didn't believe in this constitution, so he wants to use the powers of President Moi in a new constitution. That's why the first thing he did was simply to begin to kill parts of the constitution, because he enjoyed the new constitution as a deputy president, and it was not possible to remove him because Uhuru respected the constitution. Even when they fell out in 2015, I mean, Uhuru was kind enough. He only sacked the current Minister Chirchil and the current Hopes, Felix Kosgei, but he couldn't reach Ruto because he didn't want to mess the arrangement, right? But himself, for whatever reasons he says, he feels he cannot tolerate and work. And as a father, you have a big heart. You should accommodate everyone, whatever the situation. So we see that we have a good constitution, but there's the president here who wants to mutilate it because he wants a yes person. And that's why he started now all these problems you see here is simply because of the president not willing to follow the constitution. Number two, I want to say this. Nyamori, when you say that, you are talking too much about the feelings of the people in Mount Kenya, I can only educate you. Because you don't know. You have no idea, by the way, about Mount Kenya. Mount Kenya people, they will not go to the streets yesterday. You don't see them going to the streets. They don't throw stones. They make a decision and keep quiet and wait for the day. I can tell you. And I was here when President Uhuru Kenyatta made a handshake with Raila. The Mount Kenya people didn't know why and how. They felt sidelined. And that's the day I knew they would support William Ruto. Because you have to manage them. The day Gachagua went down, I can tell you that's the day I knew that Ruto is a one-term president, especially as far as Mount Kenya is concerned. Now, it has come to the other parts because also of the issues of SHA, economy, and the pain the people are going through. So I'll tell you, Nyamori, it's important to tell you for this issue. I'll tell you this. Mount Kenya people will love you without a penny. They don't need your money. If they want to vote for you, they will vote for you. The way we did in 2022. That 3.8 million votes, nobody was paid. And I can tell you there's no one single vote President William Ruto stole, because I was representing his team in Nakuru. People simply voted for him because, of course, of the lofty promises he had made. So come back to next year. The money he's going dishing every day. Nobody cares about money in Mount Kenya. It's either they love you, they'll give you the votes, or even if you come there with the billions. I can tell you this, they'll take your billions and tell you, please, we made a decision a long time ago. Mount Kenya people made a decision about William Ruto the day he impeached Gachagua. What we're expecting next year is just to see. And it's good to say this. It may seem like something which is not very academic. But Mount Kenya people, Nyamori, they wake up to know who to take home. They already have that one. They don't know who to put in. They are very clear who to go home. For the last 3 years, William Ruto sold Raila Odinga as a person to take home. Now he's a person to take home. That's what I can tell you. You told us to talk this thing politically. Now, finally, if you go to the Office of Registrar of Persons, I think what President William does, he makes sure his team, he feeds with them a lot of issues which are not there. Oh, Gachagua will be finished. There's nowhere he is going. And by the way, the only people supporting William Ruto, especially in Mount Kenya, I don't want to talk authoritatively about where Nyamori comes from. It's just a few people who are in power, who gets per diems and mileage, TEDAS, 1%. These are the people today. I can tell you, right now, I want you to go. These are people maybe who are not even from Mount Kenya. The people who are talking here. Just go to Kagio Market, go to Molo, Elbagon, go to Kirinyaga, talk to 10 people. Most likely, you'll not find even one who will wake up in the morning of 10th of next year to go vote for William Ruto. Because he is fighting their son. Let me tell you, in Mount Kenya, you have a leader at a time. We had Kibaki, we had Uhuru Kenyatta, we have Rigathi Gachagua. Now, the president comes and kills their son. He wants to finish them. President William Ruto thinks he's finishing Gachagua. He's actually waging a war against a whole region. That one I can tell you, and I'm going to give you that analysis. So, you think there's anywhere Rigathi Gachagua has gone? Actually, President Ruto has perpendicularly one-man battle to simply lift up Gachagua. That's what you're going to see next year. And for that, I am hoping, I'm praying, there's something we are working on for Rigathi Gachagua to be on the ballot. You see what you have not seen for a long time. Right. That's what I can tell you. That's a fact.
Yeah, Fred.
And he's in the, by the way, in the register of political parties, he's a party leader. Yeah. You know, those are things we will not tell them, so that they keep on knowing Rigathi is dead.
Fred, in my final remark, I would want to emphasize my submission that, one, the impeachment process is complete. It is valid as held by the court. For the small infraction, Rigathi Gachagua was given kitu ya kupanguza machozi, which is a 50 million, but I think that can be overturned by High Court if he appeals and Senate cross appeals. My view is that politically, the death certificate was signed and was confirmed to be valid by the court. He cannot run. I also would want to remind my friend that the conversion rate of support based on grievance will dissipate with time. And I see very able sons and daughters of Mount Kenya arising and getting to the national scene that would make credible sense. In 2003, when I accompanied President Kibaki and Raila to Nyeri, and the people of Mount Kenya called him Mutongoria, I actually asked, what does Mutongoria means? And I was told that Mutongoria means an important person. And an important person therefore means that when Matiba stopped becoming viable for presidency, he was no longer Mutongoria. When Mwai Kibaki retired, he was no longer Mutongoria. Mutongoria was Uhuru Kenyatta. When Uhuru Kenyatta was approaching retirement, he could no longer be a Mutongoria, and that is why he could not command the Mount Kenya vote. And Rigathi Gachagua, when it becomes apparent to everybody in the next few weeks that he's no longer viable, the people of Mount Kenya, whom I know are people who make very bold decisions, are going to make bold decisions and point to some other people who will negotiate for them at the national level. A few people like Dr. Mbai might follow, the Rigathi Gachagua into the bottomless pit of impeachment, never to return again. But a number of political players and the people of Mount Kenya are going to make credible political decisions. In that credible political decisions, I can only see possibility of a significant number coming to work with President William Ruto until 2032. Okay. It is important to note that this government is still significantly a Mount Kenya government. If you look at the rank and file of the public service, it is the Mount Kenya community is 27% of the public service and 17% of the population. So in my view, it is still a Mount Kenya government, because no other community, not even the Kalenjin community, reach their percentage in terms of their population in public service. Okay. So I would want to tell the people of Mount Kenya and my friends there that please do not follow Dr. Mbai to follow the piper into political oblivion. Okay. The impeachment is done. Rigathi Gachagua is gone. Let's think of younger and new people, as we are also thinking of the same in our region. Thank you.
Finally, Madam Sabine Chege.
Thank you very much. I think it's very sad what Dr. Mbai has said, that the people of Mount Kenya vote to remove, not to place people in positions. And I'll address my people from Mount Kenya, and I said, last time we voted with emotions. This time, vote for the leaders who are going to stand there for you, work for you, and who have an agenda that can serve the nation. It is very sad that sometimes you want to follow an individual, uplift somebody because we vote with our emotions, because he's our son, he's ours. But at the end of the day, so what? And that's why I've said a lot of these people who are saying one time, it's because they have nothing else to tell the people. You are an elected senator, what have you done? You are an MCA, what have you done for your people? You are an MP, you have a CDF that is more than 200 million per year, what have you done for your people? And I'm hoping our people will change their attitude. It's unfortunate that we have wasted maybe 2 hours talking about an individual who might not even run for an office, instead of looking at the issues that are affecting Kenyans. At the end of the day, the issue of the deputy presidency, it's not a co-presidence. When William Ruto joined with Uhuru Kenyatta 2013, William Ruto came with his political party, so he brought his basket from the Rift Valley, and Uhuru Kenyatta was having the TNA party, so they kind of had a core. You remember that time they used to wear the same shirts, and I can tell you I was there 2013 to 2017. There was no issue between Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto. The Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto issue started 2018 after the handshake. And so, as it were, when Rigathi Gachagua came in, he could not assume that he could have acted like William Ruto might be. And William Ruto started having a difference with his boss on his second term. But the fact that he knew his boss was to leave, and maybe he had a hunch that his boss might not support him, or it was even a plan, so that then he can have his own lease of life. And so for Rigathi Gachagua, he came into a party that William Ruto had already formed. And that's why when we began, I said, you say you brought 4 million votes. Are you sure? When I was in opposition, when I was in Azimio, when we had the Gachagua was one who was given the position of the deputy president, we were very happy. We were saying, give Rigathi Gachagua the mic, because every minute he spoke, he lost some votes for William Ruto that he had already accumulated. So I would like to say we have a beautiful country. And this country is not about individuals. I can tell you, a lot of people, even those young men who are there, the shoe shiners, it's not that they would vote for Rigathi Gachagua, but they like him. Why? Because he's fighting the president. Because every issue, every problem we have, and it's natural, it's nature, it is associated with the current president. Right. So even when my cow goes to my neighbor and eats the farm, I associate with William Ruto. And so anybody fighting William Ruto is my favorite. But the question is, would that translate to you voting for that person?
All right.
Thank you.
All the papers today are talking about Rigathi Gachagua and that judgment by the High Court yesterday, on Monday this week. So what will happen next, both politically and legally? That is what we've been trying to dissect with my panel this morning. Dr. Peter Mbaye, Secretary Planning and Economic Affairs at DCP, Wakili Joshua Nyamori, and MP Sabina Chege. Thank you so much for your time at TV47. After this break, we're going to be having an interview about Mozart bets. Kakazema will be in studio telling us more about what to expect in the coming weeks in as far as that is concerned. And later on, matters relationship, toxic love. Why do we keep going back? These on and off relationships, which are already toxic. But why do you keep going back? That later on. So do stand by for that. My name is Freddy Ndimuli. Good morning.